Greeting everyone. Glad to see you all are here. My name is Wheeler Winstead, and we're going to be giving you, doing an information session on the Foreign Language Area Studies Fellowships. And in 1 minute, I will share my screen, but I'm going to ask that you would all, in the meantime, please mute yourselves. And also, if you have a question, if you could please write it in the chat box, and then we'll have an opportunity to be able to have those questions answered at another time in the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and just get started here. Share my screen. So again, as I said, my name is Wheeler Winstead, and we're going to be talking about the Foreign Language Area Studies Fellowships and also the African Language Fellowships. I'm going to be joined by my colleague, Dr. Leonard Mwaka, who will give you the details on the African Language Fellowships. As I said, please, if you would not mind muting your mic and also turning off your video. Place questions and comments in the chat box. There'll be a time to answer those later. So first, the agenda for our meeting today is to give you an overview, a very quick overview of the Center for African Studies. We're going to then talk about the Foreign Language and Area Studies Fellowships, the types, requirements. We're going to go through the whole thing in terms of process. And then I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Leonard Mwaka, and he is going to give you information about the African Language Fellowships. So the Center for African Studies here at Howard is a Title VI funded program. Title VI is funded by the Department of Education. We are here to support African-related teaching and research all across Howard University. We are one of 10 national resource centers in the United States, so we are in a very privileged position. The center, as one of its programs, provides Foreign Language and Area Studies Fellowships for the academic year and summer, and we provide both tuition and stipend support. And you'll see this website being offered a number of times, being shown a number of times, but if you want to know more specifics about that, obviously, we encourage you to go to our website. So first, the deadlines for the applications. The application for both the summer and the academic year are open and closed at the same time. So you should know that there is no two separate application deadlines, although there are two separate applications. The application period was open December 7th, 2020, and it will close February 15th, 2021. So that is the last day that you'll have to get in your application. And again, this is for both the summer 2021 and academic year 21-22. By the way, you can apply, a person can apply for both the summer and the academic year fellowships. However, you will have to provide separate information when you apply. What are the African languages that are being offered? You can apply to study Amharic, Arabic, Somali, Swahili, Wolof, Yoruba, and Zulu. These are the only 7 languages that you can apply for here at Howard. The fellowships, as I mentioned, are both for the academic year and the summer. They are offered for both graduates and undergraduates. During the academic year, a graduate fellowship is in the amount of $18,000, which will be used toward your tuition and fees. And then the student also gets a $15,000 stipend that is paid to you to use for whatever your living expenses and any other expenses related to your schooling. And that's a maximum of $33,000. That fellowship both the tuition and the stipend is divided into your fall and spring semester. So you don't get it all in at one time. You get half of it during the fall and the other half during the spring. And the stipend also is not given at one time. It's given over a 4-month period, and about the same time each month. For the undergraduate fellowship, the total is $15,000. That's $10,000 in a tuition and a $5,000 stipend. Again, those awards are made in the fall and the spring, half in the fall, half in the spring. For the summer, it's different. Summer, both the graduate students and undergraduates receive a $5,000 tuition and a $2,500 living expense stipend. So FLAS eligibility. First, you've got to have a clear promise of completing your academic program. In other words, if your grades and transcripts show that you have been failing, that you are not doing well, then that's not going to bode well in terms of being eligible. You also need to have a plan to utilize your training in your career. So specifically, what we mean is when you write your statement, and you will be required to write a statement of why you want to FLAS, if you say something like, well, I'm just simply interested in expanding my knowledge on Africa, and I just want to be a more well-rounded person. Those are admirable goals. However, you would not fare well in terms of the being qualified for a FLAS. You need to say something like, I want to use it in my postgraduate degree. I believe I will use the fellowship in my future career. Something that you're going to, something that shows you that you're actually going to use the training. You need to have an excellent academic record as evidenced by your GPA and also letters of recommendation, and you have to demonstrate a need. So in other words, if you have already sufficient fellowships, scholarships to cover all your tuitions, you would not qualify for a FLAS fellowship. Or let's say you applied and you had enough to cover your tuition, and we still wanted to give you an award, you would not get a tuition award, but you might get a stipend award. And this has in fact happened. So I encourage you to apply even if you have other resources. However, we do look at the need as to determine priority in terms of students that we want to help. And these, by the way, these eligibility requirements are not simply the eligibility requirements set by Howard. These are set by the Department of Education. Another requirement is that you've got to be willing to comply with the various regulations and requirements of the Department of Education. One is that they're going to do surveys every 8 years. So you will have to supply a non-Howard email address so that they can be in contact with you. And there will be a few other things that you will need to do as a FLAS fellow. Let's see. Okay, so again, in terms of the academic FLAS fellowship, you need to be a full-time student, either a full-time graduate student, another graduate. You will not qualify if you're a part-time student. You must be a full-time student, and preference is given to Howard students. So in other words, you don't have to be a Howard student. However, preference is given to Howard students. You must be a US citizen or either a national or permanent resident. That is important to understand. You must propose a course that includes both an African language and an African studies course for both the fall and the spring. Again, this is a requirement. If you, for example, propose in the fall to take an African language and an African Area Studies course in the fall and fail to do that in the spring, you will be ineligible in the spring. And the funds are only allocated to students in intermediate or advanced level, with the exception of the summer Flask. So if in the academic year, this cannot be your first semester taking an African language. You have to at least have taken at least one semester of an African language. You will not qualify if this is your first semester. So let's look at how this could work for you. Let's say you haven't taken an African language yet. If you want to qualify for the academic year 21-22, what you could do is you could in fact take a FLAS, take an African language in the summer. That then would qualify you to or make you eligible for a FLAS for the academic year 21-22. Now, for the summer, however, there is the option if you are a beginner to get a FLAS, because the FLAS does have allowance for those who are just beginning for the summer only. And I think the case is for the summer, and we'll get to there, you will have to take more hours if you are a beginner and you are taking, if you get a Flask in the summer. All overseas programs, and now we're talking about academic year, must be approved by the Department of Education. So you can, in fact, get a FLAS fellowship and study overseas. That is possible. All right. So let's talk about independent study. If you have already completed all of the courses, the given courses in a particular language, then you can take that language. You can do an independent study through that language. If you choose to do that, then you've got to submit a justification for that. What does that entail? You got to submit a syllabus for the independent study. In that syllabus, you got to give the content, course objectives, course requirements, standards, schedule, the bibliography, and then you also must submit a copy of the instructor's curriculum vitae and an explanation as to why an independent study is necessary for you. So this is for those who have already taken all of the given African language courses and you need to take an independent study. For the graduates, graduate students can be at the beginning level and qualify for a FLAS if they've already achieved proficiency in another language of world area specialization, or if the second language of that is required for the overall student's training and expertise. Again, this is the only exception, and it's exception for graduate students. So let's talk about the summer. Students who choose to get a FLASK in the summer must understand that the FLASK only pays for to fund the program. We do not choose the program. You must choose the program that you want to study. And again, preferences are going to be given to Howard programs. And Dr. Mwaka is going to go over, but specifically the Howard programs. You can see here some of them listed: the USA, the Swahili GPA, and the Yoruba GPA. We also now have the Summer African Language Summer Institute. So for the summer, FLAS pays for the program cost. It may be used for both domestic and overseas programs. Again, all overseas programs are approved by the Department of Education, and you must take the summer program for a grade and receive credits. Again, summer, it's only for intensive language. It's not simply for a regular course. Basically, the idea of the summer is that it's equal to at least 2 full courses of a particular language. It is intensive language study. There must be at least 6 weeks in duration, at least 120 hours for instruction. That's at the advanced level. And here, again, I mentioned about for the beginning level. For the beginning level, you have to have at least 6 weeks, but at least 140 hours, contact hours of instruction for students at the beginning and intermediate hours. Contact hours include hours that you are either in class, hours you are using the language. Now, most of you or some of you may be aware that last year we were not able to travel because of COVID restrictions. We do not know if those restrictions will be lifted for the summer. I would go ahead and sign up, or at least you can anticipate it. However, we cannot guarantee that you will be able to travel this summer. So those things are still to be determined. So we encourage you to have your summer plans to remain flexible. And this is all going to be dependent on the guidance from the U.S. Department of Education. So for the FLAS contact hours, again, there's a number of ways you can accomplish that one. You can attend one program, you can have more than one program, you can supplement your program with private tutoring as long as you get to the total required number of hours. Now, if you're going to have private tutoring, again, that's going to have to be approved. But you can accomplish your 120, 140 contact hours in a number of different ways. One program, more than one program, supplementing the program. The application process, you complete the process all online. This is all done online. This is where you go, https://cas.howard.edu//Flask, and you submit your application online. We're going to go through that. You also must submit a copy, the confirmation page that you've submitted with your free application for Federal Students Aid or FAFSA. So looking at the application requirements, you need to have 2 references. So it's important for these references that you contact these people before you complete your application so they can start to look for the email from us that says, please provide a reference for the students. You need to have 2 references. And the email, once you complete your application, you will give those emails in that application process. They will receive an automatic email, an email generated automatically through us. You also have to have a statement of purpose. In this statement of purpose, this is where you talk about you're interested in an African language, how the FLAS will contribute to your work, your concentration, your research, specifically how you're going to use the African language, and you must provide a separate statement for each application. So if you apply for the summer and you plan to apply for the academic year, you must provide 2 separate statements. Can they be the same statement? Basically, they can be, but they must be submitted separately. In addition to your application that you're going to complete online, you must submit copies of your transcript. Again, these transcripts don't need to be official, but they must be transcripts. You must show copies of your registration for both an African language and an area studies course. Now, if you are applying in February 15th, which is the deadline, you probably have not registered for the fall 21-22. Therefore, we understand that you will not be able to submit a copy of your registration showing that you have registered in the fall 21-22 for an African language and area studies course. However, simply complete the application. If you are chosen to be a FLAS Fellow, before you will be able to receive your stipend or your tuition, you must provide a copy of your registration showing that you have registered for both an African language and an African area studies course. By the way, African area studies course, there are, I don't remember the number, I think a total maybe 160 some courses at Howard University that qualifies as African area courses. They are not all taught in African studies programs. So if you have a question about that, you can certainly email me, or you can simply go online to our website, and you will, and on the website, there's information on African area courses, and you will find them in just about every school, every department, fine arts, business, throughout Howard. You also must submit a copy of your resume, maximum 2-page, and proof of citizenship, passport, birth certificate, naturalization certificate, certificate of residency, or your U.S. permanent residency card, aka green card. Forfeiture. I do want to make sure you are aware of this. There are chances, or there are up times when the FLAS Fellowship will be forfeited. There are two basic ones I want to point out that might happen. If you, in fact, resign or withdraw from your African Area Studies course or an African language course before the semester is over, then you may be required to repay whatever you have received at a pro rata basis. Or you may actually have to repay everything if we deem that this forfeiture or this reservation is unacceptable. Another reason why you may have to forfeit your FLAS fellowship is if, let's say, in the fall, you registered for an African language, African area studies course, let's say you failed either one of those courses. And in order to receive the spring tuition or stipend, you must also provide a copy of your transcript for the fall. If in fact you failed either one of those courses, you will no longer be eligible in the spring. So let's quickly look at this registration process. First thing, actually the first place you're going to go to is you're going to go, excuse me, to our website, and you're going to click on the button there, and it's going to take you to this website. So what I'm going to do, let me just quickly, I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to show you where it looks like on our website, our meaning Center for African Studies, the first place you go to in order to start your registration for the FLAS. So I'm going to stop sharing here, and then I'm going to share this. Okay, so this is what the site looks like on the Center for African Studies. You're going to come here, and this is going to give you information about the Flask, the goals, academic year eligibility, summer eligibility, and you will be able to click here, and then you start to apply. Okay, so this is the website that you actually will go to in order to apply. So let me come back. I'll stop sharing here, and let me go and pick up where I left off for the other so once you click apply, it's going to take you to this site. The first thing you need to do is you will need to register. So you click on the registration button, you'll need to put in your name, your email address, and then you're going to get a password. From that point on, you will be able to use that password to come to the site to register. So once you register, you log in. When you first log in, you're going to land at this site. You're going to then choose whether you're going to apply for an academic fellowship or a summer fellowship. You got to select one or the other. So if you applied for one academic year and you still want to apply for the summer, you're going to come back to the same site and you're going to apply. You're going to select the program and you're going to start. For the first qualification, they're going to ask you a few questions. One, are you a full-time student? If you say no, and you are applying for the academic year fellowship, you will not be able to proceed with the application. You will be deemed ineligible. If you also say you are not in an intermediate and advanced year, you will not be eligible for an academic year fellowship. Therefore, you must click yes for both of these. Then if you are deemed eligible, you will then have access to the rest of the application, and that's where you complete information on program, language, other information, required material, references. You complete all of that information, and then you will submit as final, and then that goes to, that closes your application. You will have an opportunity to come back and edit your application, even though you submitted an application, as long as you have not reached the final date, the closing date of February 15th, 2021. If you are deemed ineligible, this is what you're going to see. You will not be able to continue. Now, let's say you think that that is something that you got an error, simply contact me and we can work it out. When you come back to your application, you can see the status of your application, whether it's in draft. It'll remain in a draft form until all of your documents are in, specifically your recommendation letters. So all fields must be completed before your application is determined to be final. If you choose that after you submit your application, you want to withdraw the application, you can also withdraw the application by clicking withdraw the application. So if you have any questions other than what we talked about, other than what I've talked about, go to the page here for languages, and then there's also a Q&A button. You can click there and it'll give you different information that maybe I have not covered. There will also be this session that is recorded. It will also be there so that you can review it if you have any questions about what we have discussed, or if you want to review it as a reminder while you are completing your application. Okay, so now I'm going to actually pass it to my colleague, Dr. Leonard Mwaka. He's going to talk to you about the summer language programs. And again, the difference between these is that FLAS simply provides money for programs. These are the actual programs themselves. Dr. Mwaka?
Thank you, Mwalimu Wheeler. Hello, everybody. We are going to have, for the very first time, what we are calling the African Language Summer Institute. The information is on our website, as well as the center's website. What we will be doing is that we will offer these courses beginning May 17th up to June around the 25th there, right there. So we ask that you actually click on this flyer, which is I'm going to share with you, and tell us what language you're going to register for or you're interested in and what level. It will provide all the information so you can be able to let us know what you're looking for. If you look at that, there are actually 6 or 7 languages we're going to offer. We are already receiving interest, and we really want to make sure that we can accommodate you. An intensive program means you're going to take 2 courses. You're going to take either 001 and 002, or 003 and 004, or whichever combination, maybe if it's a higher level, 050 and 051, or 040 and 050. That means it's going to be intensive. In a day, you'll be taking at least 4 hours, but we will finish within 6 weeks, and you'll have a year's worth of language. This therefore qualifies as a FLAS receiving kind of instruction. If you're going to be on campus, you are student. If you're a student here, you know how much it will your charge during the summer. But if you plan not to be face-to-face, these courses are also going to be offered online. So no matter where you are, whether you are in Africa, whether you are in Europe, whether you are in Minnesota, we invite you to apply and be a part of this wonderful institute that we are launching. So the application that you do, in other words, if you apply for summer, this is one of the qualifying programs for you. Okay. The next program I want to talk about is the study abroad. Swahili has two study abroad programs. The first one is the Howard University Swahili Study Abroad program, which goes to 2 countries. I could even say 3 countries. We go to Tanzania for the first 2 weeks. Then we go to Kenya for 2 weeks or 3, depending on how things will be. And then we go to Tanzania for another 2 or 3 weeks, depending on how we arrange. This means that for the 6 weeks you go abroad, you are going to be going to 3 different countries: Kenya, Tanganyika, and Zanzibar. You are going to learn with the local people. You're going to have excursions. You're going to do community work where you participate in different activities. For example, if it's coffee roasting, if it is visiting children's homes, or if it's tutoring at schools that we are going to be partnering with. In Tanzania, we partner with the University of Dar es Salaam. In Kenya, we partner with Pwani University, and sometimes we also go to the University of Nairobi. So these are great places that you should be able to increase your language tremendously. And when you come back, you have 6 credits that you can actually use to meet your minor requirements as well as language requirements. So those are the things you do. When you go to Zanzibar, you're going to learn not only about how people used to live prior to independence, but we're also going to learn about what we call the East African slave trade, which took so many people to other parts of the world, Europe, South America, and the Arab world. So these are some of the highlights of what you can actually get to see hands-on. You're not going to have it any other way. Your language will grow tremendously. If the COVID issue does not stop us, the plans are already underway. The announcement is on our website. Again, you can be able to see it and complete the application and use it as a reason to get FLAS. So we ask you to actually visit our website and you'll find the announcement. This is, again, as I said, those are the timelines. In other words, there's a week in Moshi. Moshi is north of Tanzania, just about 5 hours away from Kenya. So that's how we do it. You begin with the course and then we go all the way to Kenya, and then we come back again to the course and go all the way to Dar es Salaam driving. It's a wonderful experience and I don't think you want to miss that. The cost of the program is 5,900. This covers your airfare, living expenses, and all costs that you have to incur while you're abroad. In other words, the excursions, the trips, the local community engagements, because sometimes we have to pay them to be able to work with them, and everything else except what you need as a person. In other words, your own shopping. We, however, ask you to understand that this is not tuition. This is only the program fees, the monies that will take care of your food, take care of your bed, your room, and all other things that the program provides while we are abroad. The tuition, the Howard tuition, can be gotten through FLAS. If you apply for FLAS, it will take care of that. We are waiting for a word from the Provost Office about stage, which can usually cover this so that you don't even have to cover the tuition. So just be aware that this is the amount that comes out of your pocket to meet the cost of the program, not tuition, not the classes. My information is provided below. Currently, because I'm not in my office, if you call the first number, it will go to my email. So you leave a message for me or you send me an email and I'll be able to respond. My colleague can also be reached at the email given below, Esther Lisanza. She teaches Swahili as well. The Swahili GPA is one of the greatest opportunities that we have as a Howard program. It begins at the higher level. So Jelia, if you think by the end of this year, you'll be able to be able to talk at the advanced level, you qualify for this. I saw Ashley Tosan. If you can also apply for this, you'll be eligible. The Advanced Language Fulbright, it's a US Department of Education program. You don't have to pay anything. All you have to show is your commitment to African issues, and therefore Swahili becomes a critical language. We meet for 8 weeks in Tanzania. This one only goes to Tanzania. We will be in Moshi in Dar es Salaam. So whereas the other group, we go together, this particular group doesn't go on to Kenya. It remains in Tanzania and spends some time there, and then comes down to Dar es Salaam, to the University of Dar es Salaam, where we have a homestay kind of setting. The other groups that went to Kenya will now join you in Dar es Salaam. They live in apartment style, whereby they have places where we have rented places where they stay. But this one, you stay with the family for the entire duration. Therefore, it's a little different, but we do almost the same stuff. Your level is a little higher. The excursions are the same, but you're going to be at the advanced level at the University of Dar es Salaam. Keep going. Again, eligibility, you have to be a US citizen or a permanent resident, and you must have at least finished 4 semesters. So if you are in 004, you are ready to go. But if your level, according to my judgment assessment, puts you at a higher level, I will accept you into the program. Now, commit yourself to Africa. That's all we ask of you. We begin our trip from Washington, DC. And then we are able to all get to Tanzania at the same time, go to the same place. What you do is the program will cover your tuition. You don't have to pay that. It will cover your food. It will cover other related issues, except that you will have to pay a 1,000 administrative fee, which the university gets to take care of the other things that we need to, in terms of orientation and other things that we need to do. So please go to the next slide. That's the 1,000 I was talking about, and it covers a lot of things. However, you have to meet your own cost for the visa, which is $100, and your passport. And we also encourage you to be able to visit with your doctor, who will take care of the immunization that you may have missed, because at that particular point, you want to be able to travel. We know our world as is. We just want you to be well covered. We want you to know that you have to be in good shape to travel. So FLAS will not cover this particular program because the government is already paying through the tuition that is going to be remitted. What you only need to do is to cover the 1,000 that we have already told you. This can come out of globalization at Howard University. If you're a student at Howard, you can apply for that in course. They will be able to give you that amount of money. So be sure to not miss out on such opportunities. If travel is going to be allowed, you can get that money, or it can come out of your pocket, your parents, your savings, whatever it is that you, however you are able to get that money. So just so you know, this is affordable, but it's for advanced level, and we encourage you all to be able to reach that level. The information I provided earlier is also the same that you would want to use to get more information and to be able to stay in touch with me to know if there are any changes or any updates. For your information, the flyer is already out. It's on our website. If you visit the Center for African Studies or the Department of World Languages, you'll be able to see this. It's an advanced programmer intensive. You work with people, local people in Tanzania will be teaching you. Keep going. The Yoruba program, I don't think Dr. Molola is here. Is he in? If he's not, then again, it is similar to the Swahili Advanced GPA program. However, they go to Nigeria and they spend exactly the same amount of time. You must have finished at least 4 semesters, which means 001, 002, 003, and 004. But again, you may qualify if you show that you have tested out of those 4 levels and can go at a higher level. At higher level means from 040 to 050 to 060. Those are the numbering that we normally have at the higher level. So you're allowed, if you're doing research, this is a great opportunity to be able to do this. And again, travel begins in Washington, DC. The director of that program is Dr. Omolola, Bayo Omolola. He teaches Yoruba, and he definitely can give you more information. One thing you must understand is that the cost again is the same, but this is a nationally competed a kind of a program. It's not only Howard students. Students come from different parts of the country. So you may have about 50 students applying for spot of 15 for 15 spots. So you have to really show that you're good and that you're ready to participate in an intensive program where you'll meet the best from other nations, from other cities and other institutions. So you always have to be ready to know that you're going to need to compete for this scholarship. Again, the information for Bayo Omolola is provided. You can email him at his email. Or call his number, but as you know, we are not receiving calls, but this will be his number, which ends in 5075. Time for questions, I think. From the information I see, it's time for you to ask questions. Any question that you have, we should be able to respond to you.
If Anya, you could fill the questions and we'll try to answer them.
Yes, the first question, Dr. Mwaka already answered a little bit. It is, what is considered intermediate level?
Very good. So intermediate, we have low and high. Intermediate classes at Howard, it's 003 and 004.
Great, next question. If you are not a Howard student, but are interested in taking Swahili summer class at Howard, what does that look like? Keep in mind you apply for a FLAS at your school and got the stipend there. Do you still need to apply for a FLAS at Howard?
If you come from an institution that does not offer FLAS, you're allowed. FLAS are national programs, rather, fellowships. So even our own students usually get fellowships or FLAS from other institutions, and we take them in our program. So you are allowed. I don't know where that person is from, but yes, you are allowed to apply. The only thing, preference will be given because usually we have about 60 or so students applying for FLAS from Howard alone, and it can be a little tricky. Of course, we do rank each applicant, and we will give whoever is at the top. But the most important thing is to apply. How will the summer Swahili look like? It will look exactly as it is now because we are teaching online. If you're in DC and you want to come, we will meet with you face to face if the conditions will be favorable. But it is very interactive. It's going to allow you to learn the language, all the skills that you need. And we will be able to link with embassies and other communities around for you to communicate with. If we cannot do it in person, we'll do it virtually. So it is going to be quite something for you. And we will guarantee you that the proficiency you come out with will be much, much higher than the one which you come in with. If you're 0, you will come out of Howard speaking Swahili, singing in Swahili, and doing everything you need to.
So if the student does receive a FLAS somewhere else, though, they do not need to apply for one additionally at Howard, right?
No, they don't need. You can only get one FLAS, fellowship. One, you cannot get 2. It's because all that you do is you want what will support your academic here or your learning here. And just in case you didn't get it from Dr. Wheeler, the tuition money does not go to you directly. That money goes to the institution or the program that you have applied to. And the program will take only the amount of money that is needed for that. So the only amount of money that you can receive as a student or as a recipient is the stipend. So it's let's make it very clear that you don't get the tuition money. You are awarded, but it goes to the institution. So in this case, it will come to Howard, and Howard will apply it to your account so that you can actually be able to get credit. The other thing I want to say, if you're not from a Howard, from Howard, you would need to apply as a visiting student or a student at large. So you need to get in touch with me so I can give you all the information that you need to be able to do that. For those of you who will just be taking the courses in the Summer Institute for no credit, or for no degree, we are likely to actually give you a certificate. We're working on designing a certificate that will allow you to know you participated, and it will show the level and the proficiency, which you can use anywhere you go. That, oh, I took Swahili 001 up to 002 at Howard, and this is my proficiency, because we'll rate you, we'll assess you and give you that. Not just Swahili, all the languages we teach in African program are going to offer you a certificate to show you have participated in the program, and your proficiency will also be indicated.
Great. Next question is, what is the plan for integrating students that applied last year? Does that mean there are less spots?
Good question. What we will do is and Dr. Wheeler Winstead might add on that, what we told our students, if they were going to continue, if they wanted to postpone because we didn't have anything, we will just need them to update the information that yes, they're still interested and that they are willing to continue. The only thing we want to make sure that you understand is this: if we do not get stage, which is what students get for free summer tuition, then we will have to have fewer awards, because we have to be able to cover tuition. As I said, we are expecting the Provost's office to respond by next week about stage, because it really means a lot to many students. And therefore, our tuition will therefore be spread up across so that many students can benefit. Mwalimu Wina, do you want to add something on that?
No, that's accurate.
Okay.
Great. Next question. For Swahili study abroad, Husa, is the 5,900 the only cost? Can this be covered by FLAS? How much is the additional tuition?
Thank you very much. A wonderful question. Number one, for Husa, the 5,900 can be covered by the stipend you get, because that stipend is meant to meet your living expenses. And since what we pay abroad is for your living expenses, the money you get, Dr. Winstead will give you a check, and then that check, you will transfer the funds to the HUSA program. So you will be 5,900 minus 2,500. Your obligation will be, how much will that be? 29? Yes, I think so. Yeah, it will be 29. And so the 29, you can get it by applying to if you're in course, College of Arts and Sciences, you can apply for globalization. They can give you up to 1,000. That 1,000 deduct from the 2,900. Your obligation from out of pocket will be 1,900. But the always another way to do it also. If we do have, I don't think they're going to do that this year, but there's another scholarship which they normally give. It's only in course. You might be able to get it. So begin to save little by little, so that by that time, you know that if I get FLAS, it can cover 2,500. If I get globalization, because you pay that amount of money during your tuition, you may also get 1,000. So just plan accordingly. But your tuition will never go there. Your tuition will only go to your tuition. The money that FLAS will give as 5,000 will only go towards your academic, the tuition for you to get the credit.
Great. Next question. For the academic year FLAS Fellowship, do you only get the stipend, or is there a program we have to go through next academic semester? And where does the tuition go towards for the academic year FLAS Fellowship for the fall if you apply for the academic year?
Okay, good
Okay,
question. But I'll give
yeah.
it to Willa.
So as we said, if you are an undergraduate, there's $10,000 tuition and $5,000 stipend. The tuition goes to Howard. You won't even see it, and it is simply done electronically, where we give them the information and they credit your account. So if you are an undergraduate, and that means you have $10,000, if you get the full $10,000 tuition award, that means for the fall year, your account will be credited $5,000. Now, that means it is possible, and we know for a fact that the tuition is more than $5,000 for the fall. You are responsible for the remaining tuition costs. So unfortunately, the Flask does not cover all of your tuition costs. In addition, if you are receiving other tuition, other scholarships, other fellowships, and let's say those fellowships together covers everything but say $3,000 that's left, and you have $5,000 Flask, you will get a $3,000 Flask. You will not have the $2,000 extra to simply spend as you will. The tuition can only go to cover tuition and related institutional expenses. Stipend, however, is different. The stipend will come directly to you, and it will come to you in 4 payments. Normally, during the academic year for the fall session, you'll get a stipend in September, October, November, and December. And you'll get those, the $5,000 will be divided into 4 equal payments, and you will get it that way. The academic year, in the spring, it's also the same thing. You will get your stipend in 4 equal payments, normally given in February, March, April, May. And again, that will be half of $2,500, or I think that's $625 for over 4 different payments, and that's how you will get your stipend. It comes directly to you and will be deposited directly into your account.
Okay, next question is, I am intending on taking a Swahili class during the summer. Can Dr. Wheeler say more about the special application treatment due to lack of language class prior to the application? Also, what is the deadline for the summer Swahili class registration?
Okay, I'll take the application information, and maybe Dr. Mwaka can talk about the registration. So for the summer, you simply go and you apply for summer Flask. There is no special treatment. You simply state that you're going to apply for the summer. You do not have to have already applied for the summer class, but you need to state that you will apply. Now, before you actually get the Flask for the summer, you've got to produce evidence that you have in fact registered for the summer class. But at the time of the application, we understand that you will not have registered. You must state that you will register. And as I said, at the time prior to actually giving you the money, you must produce evidence that you have successfully registered for the class. Now, let's talk about special treatment for those who applied last year and were approved last year. If you applied for the summer last year, were accepted, and you deferred for this year, you simply must provide evidence that, 1, you are still eligible to receive a Flask in terms of your academic eligibility, and 2, that you're interested. So those are the primary things we're going to want to know. And then your application will be actually at the top in terms of priority. Dr. Mwaka, you could talk about the deadline for registering for summer Swahili class.
Yeah, very good. Just to really add to what you said, the eligibility means you're still a Howard student. You're still a graduate. You haven't graduated, because once you graduate, you don't qualify for FLAS. You can qualify for GPA, but not for FLAS. Now, going to the registration, here are two things. Number one, we want you to show interest, and I will get back to you via email. There is a form you complete. I go back to you with the response. Now, the registration is going to happen because we're going to be using the same courses we normally mount at Howard. When the registration portal opens, that's when we're going to have that particular registration going on. As you know, it will be the same time that we do register for fall. However, for the interest that I'm showing, I think we put April 15th. It's just to give us a better understanding of where you're coming from, what your interests are, so that we can mount the right classes. In other words, if we get that information, the classes you'll see will be the ones that you have informed us that you are interested in. Otherwise, registration will continue until the portal closes, the Howard portal closes. If you're not a Howard student, you'll have first of all to apply as a student at large, and you should be doing that as soon as possible. And then we will then add you to our courses. This can be done manually, or you can actually have the portal open and then you'll be added. You can do that using, on the web. Normally, Howard also allows you just before those classes begin, around the 15th, 17th, to register. So that may also be possible, but we have to know the number of people that we are expecting. So that's how we'll do this. But we'll have a special list, and we'll be communicating with those people who will have demonstrate their interest in taking the summer classes.
Great. Next question. What month is Swahili Study Abroad planned for this summer?
It's planned for the beginning of June.
Great. Next question. When do we find out if we got accepted for FLAS Fellowship for the fall?
Okay, normally we plan usually 30 days from the time that we receive the application. So the applications are due February 15th. So normally it'll be sometime in March.
And then the next question is there a program we have to go through for the academic year FLAS Fellowship, or do we just have to take an African Studies class or course?
Well, if you're talking about in terms of registering, you simply register for the class yourself. You simply go in and find either if it's an undergraduate course, you find an undergraduate course, but there are African study related courses throughout the university. If you're in communications, if you're in art, even if you're in African-American studies, there are courses that qualify as African studies courses. And basically, it's any course that has 25% content that's Africa related. So in just about every school, even in nursing, I believe, there is there are courses that will qualify as an African area studies course.
Yeah.
And you simply go in there and you register in that particular school.
Yeah. Well, another thing that Dr. Windsor talked about is eligibility. I want to go back there because I want people to avoid making mistakes. If you register and then drop that course, you are disqualifying yourself from receiving the stipend or even the tuition. So stick to that course. Once you're registered, you have to be enrolled in the course and pass that course. Do not register, send Wheeler a form, and then drop and then think we will not know, because at the end of each academic year, we must give a report, and we give that report to the department. We evaluate you, we assess you, and therefore if you are not in that, you have not done the right thing, and Wheeler will send you something to tell you, hey, you did not do what you're supposed to do, so you are disqualified. You have to repay the monies that were extended to you. So please, we want you to do well in these courses. We want you to know African languages, but we want you to commit your time. Let it be out of your heart that you want to be interested, and you're interested actually in African studies, that you want to be the best, that you want to get the best out of what we offer. There are many, many courses, there are many, many languages, and we don't think you can miss out anything. If you have any issue about language, you have to talk to me. no matter which language it is, send me an email. Let's sit down and talk. Let's see what are the options that we can work with.
So unfortunately, we've come to the end of our information session. This session is being recorded and will be made available on our website under the tab for Flask. So if you have a question that was not answered during this particular session, feel free to email Dr. Mwaka, email myself, and we will try to answer it. So thank you very much. Today is the 5th. You have 10 days to complete your application for both the summer and for the academic year FLAS. You do have a little more time to complete your application for the other language programs, but if you want money to cover any of those that you will be eligible, then you must complete your application by February the 15th. Thank you, Dr. Mwaka, for coming and participating. Thank you all for coming.
Yep. Thank you too.